How's it going, everyone? It's Blake here from ChessPathways.com, and we are doing some more Blitz chess today. Let's see how this goes. We get a Queen's Pawn opening. I'll probably go for a Slav defense against the Queen's Gambit, and I'll probably go into a semi-Slav if you play Knight C3 and Knight F3. There are some differences in the move order if White chooses Knight C3 or Knight F3, but I play the same way either way. But unfortunately, it looks like we're going to get an Exchange Slav here. Maybe not as objectively scary for Black as some of those main lines are, but I've never loved it too much. It's very, very symmetrical, but there are some ways to try to play for a win, so we'll see how this goes. I'm not too familiar with this early Queen C2 in the Exchange Slav. Let's go ahead and play A6. We can come back and take a look at this opening after the game. A lot of times all the rooks get swapped on the C file, both sides just develop. But I know you often don't want to allow bishop takes f6, so I'm trying to think about how I want to handle this. Bishop g4 is a candidate move. I could just play e6, but then my bishop's kind of bad. I'm just worried that after bishop g4, what if they take on f6? And then, if you take with the pawn, then this pawn is super isolated, and that's bad for you, but I think I could take with the g-pawn there. You know, I have the bishop pair kind of in an imbalanced position, so maybe I don't mind it. I'll let you take on f6 now if you want to, and if you don't, then I'll play e6 and stabilize this pawn. And it's kind of nice to have this pawn on a6. That's the reason I played it, because otherwise we have to watch out for like bishop b5, knight e5, queen a4 kind of ideas. So okay, totally symmetrical. At least if I play queen c7 it would be. So White gets, a very minimal advantage here. It's just hard to play for a win with Black. But, that's the nature of the game sometimes. Probably rook c8 is coming up. Sometimes White tries to play for like b4, knight a4, knight a5. I'll have to debate about how I want to handle this, but certainly the rook is good on c8. I could also play b5 myself in some cases. Bishop g6 could also be an idea at the right moment. You'd probably meet it with bishop d3. Probably doesn't accomplish a whole lot. And if either of us ever break in the center, then you end up with an isolated pawn, so often players aren't too willing to go for that. Okay, queen d2, just getting the queen off of that file. Knight e4 has to at least be considered. I'm just not sure about these doubled pawns because they could be somewhat weak. Although I could follow up with f5. I kind of like this idea, just trying to get some life in the position. So let's play knight e4 and see how this goes. So if you take, we take. You have to move the knight somewhere. Then I probably take on e2. Okay, which way do I want to take? Probably with the queen. Now you move the knight to, I guess, e1. Which, I'm kind of happy to force your knight to e1. Knight e1, okay, I guess h2 is fine too. Now I swap bishops, and I might just play f5. Thinking about playing for like f4 even in some cases, even though that really makes these double pawns isolated. Maybe not the best idea in the short term. And I'd love this knight to come to d5 now. I'm trying to think about how I want to organize this. I'm not sure if I should allow White to play d5. It's just kind of hard to prevent, isn't it? I could play queen e7 here. Or sorry, queen d6, thinking about playing knight e7, knight d5. And I like this. This is a nice transformation, I think. It's not as symmetrical anymore. And Black has real chances here to try to play for a win. So the knight's great on d5, this nice outpost. I can think about trying to contest this open c file. If you take, then I get the file, because of rook c8. You can't contest it immediately, so I can double on it. And things are looking up here. This is how you have to play on the semi-Slav sometimes. Just accept that it's going to be a boring opening, not much is going to happen, and just slowly try to make something happen. So rook c8. Still doing okay on time, have over half my time left. And that 2-second increment certainly helps, of course. Let's bring the queen in. Queen c2. b2 could be a target. Okay, and now I win, I think. Knight c3, and White should resign, I believe. Queen h5 is nothing, right? Probably just, well, I take with check and the game's over. I wonder if you had anything better there than knight e2. My guess is, well, certainly there's something better than falling for the fork, but White was under a ton of pressure there because of my activity there on the c file. Rook c7 was a good moment to talk about too. That was kind of instructive, just seeing that because White can't contest the file right away, that move guarantees Black the c file as far as I could see. Okay, but now, I take with check, I take the queen with check, and the game's over. So we'll see if White resigns here. Okay. Take the knight too. And there we go. All right, let's hop over to the analysis board. I know a lot of players kind of struggle, trying to see how to play as Black against the Exchange Slav, because like I said, it's very hard to get something going, at least early on. But you just gotta look for your chance to imbalance the game, especially, you know, against a lower-rated player. Maybe you're not happy with the draw, as I wasn't here. You gotta make something happen eventually. So, okay, d4, d5, c4, c6, knight c3, knight f6, takes. We get the very characteristic, totally symmetrical pawn structure of the Exchange Slav. And queen c2 I'm not too familiar with. Kind of curious to see how often that move is played. Essentially, never. It's not a good move because you're putting the queen on the open c-file. We saw how it wasn't comfortable there. Maybe it was in the short term, but eventually that queen had to move again. The only advantage I could think of to putting the queen on c2 is that black wants to stop bishop f5. But I don't think that's really the right approach here. I know there's main lines that are very, very drawish. For example, after knight f3, knight c6, bishop f4. And here I would play a6, trying to meet e3 with bishop g4 and kind of break the symmetry a little bit. But there's main lines that go like bishop f5, e3, e6, bishop d3, takes, bishop d6, takes, castle, I think it's rook c1, rook c8, a3, a6, rook c2, rook c7, rook c1, rook c8. Very, very boring if both players are happy to go for this. But okay, queen c2, knight c6, knight f3, and I chose to play a6. Again, kind of a useful move in general in this line, just to stop ideas of bishop e5 and knight e5, to stop certain ideas where white can go harass your b-pawn after you get the bishop out, with like queen b3 at the right moment. So I chose to play a6. We develop our pieces. I wouldn't be too upset if white went for this. I know I get double pawns, but again, I want to imbalance the position. I have the pair of bishops. I have more central pawns. You know, now both sides have something to kind of play for, so I wouldn't have minded this too much. But okay, e6. And eventually, after I castle, finish up development, chase the queen off the file, I choose to play knight e4. And, you know, kind of transform the pawn structure a little bit. Certainly, white probably had better ways to deal with this. But I like this transformation, getting to play for this new outpost on d5. And now, white probably should have contested the c-file in a different way, maybe with the queen still on d2. Because here, after rook c7, I'm threatening to play rook c8 and take over the file. And if you take right now, the only reason this is good for me is because you can't play rook c1 or queen c2 here. So I slowly take over the open file, I infiltrate. And, of course, b3 is just a blunder, but what else could white play here? I'm sure white could try to hold on, but it's probably tough. I would actually encourage you, if you want a training position from this video, go set this up. In the analysis board, click the play versus computer button, and practice beating the computer here with your advantage with the black pieces. And if you can't do it, then flip it around, see how the computer gets it done when they have black against you. Alright, thanks for watching, everyone. Please make sure you visit chesspathways.com and get signed up there. It's totally free, only takes 5 seconds. And I will send you a free move-by-move guide to chess thinking when you sign up, as well as a ton of other free resources. It took me way too long to become a chess master, and I want to help you do it in a fraction of the time. Thanks, and I will see you there.